subject for now. We are still on our graph and chart series. The other day we discussed the bar chart, the simple bar chart, and the pie charts. Today we want to talk about histogram. What is histogram? How is it drawn? How do we use it? Why is it a good tool for analyzing economic problems? Now, histogram is a graphical representation of frequency distribution. Graphical representation of frequency distribution. After histogram is frequency distribution we'll discuss about. It is made up of a set of triangles. I will use this diagram to explain what the explanation is talking about. That have their basis on the horizontal axis, e.g. the x-axis and the y-axis. The highest of each right angle represents the magnitude of data lying within each class interval. There is no gap or space between two bars. Now let me explain this definition. It has its axis. This is the y-axis, and this is the x-axis, and this is the y-axis. What is it trying to tell us? That histogram is represented by small right angles. These are the right angles. They are represented by small right angles. And we are told that in the right angles, there are no space in between each of these right angles like we have in simple bar chart and component bar chart, where there are spaces in between and the spaces have to be equal. In histogram, the right angles are joined together. You see my example? The first right angle is joined to the second right angle, the second right angle to the third, from the third to the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. So all the right angles are joined together. And in drawing this graph, you must have your x-axis and your y-axis. The x-axis will represent your frequency. I am going to use an example to teach you this. It will have its own frequency. Here we will have the frequency. And here you will have your numbers, the units you have chosen to draw your graph. I use 2 units here. And so no space between the bars. They are represented by a right angle. It has its x and y axis. Frequency are represented in the horizontal axis, which is this horizontal, and this is the vertical, where you have the units. This is how right angle look like, histogram look like. Now let's use an example from your text to illustrate what histogram, how to solve histogram related problems. Let's use this example to draw a histogram. A farmer harvested 60 tubers of yam for 8 days. The number of yam harvested per day is shown below. Draw a histogram to represent the information. Day 1, we harvested 4 yam. Day 2, 12. Day 3, 7. Day 4, 20. Day 5, 2. Day 6, 9. Day 7, 1. Day 8, 5. Now we are drawing the histogram. On the y-axis, I'm taking 2 centimeters. 2 cm to 1 unit. And the x-axis will have the number of days. And so, after taking my scale here, remember in histogram, the bars are not separated. And remember, in histogram, you must have your y-axis and your x-axis. So draw out your y-axis and your x-axis. And according to your table, choose your units. You find out that 20 is the highest. So when choosing your unit, look at the size of your graph and choose your unit adequately well. If you want to use 1 cm to 1 unit, it's all your choice. If you are using 4 cm to 2 units, it's all your choice. And now I am plotting my graph. On the one we did 4, the farmer harvested 4 yam. So I'll come here, this is the day 1, I'll trace 4, I'll come here and I'll drop it. Day 2 was 12. I will extend that straight, since there are no space between the bar, to 12 and drop it down, day 2. Day 3 is 7, I'll come again, trace it to 7. In between 5, 6 and 8, we'll have 7, I'll trace it down. On day 4, I have 20, I'll take it up to the highest and drop it down, day 4. Day 5, I'll come, I have 2, it's somewhere here, I will then trace it. Day 6, I have 9, in between 8 and 9, I will have, in between 8 and 10, I will trace like this, and I will have it here. I'll have it here. I'll have it here. Have it here. Day 7, I have 1 unit. You're going to see this is 2, so your 1 unit will be there. Trace it there. 8, the last day is 5. In between 4 and 5, you will have your day 8. So I'll take it down. In your graph, it's easier than in my freehand drawing on the board. And you trace it down here. We have successfully answered this question. We've plotted our graph. And this is how the frequency, the histogram look like. The highest frequency here is 20, which is on day 4. On day 4. So this is how you plot your histogram. You can see similar example on other past questions. Use it to plot your histogram. So the next thing we will talk about, it's going to be frequency distribution. Frequency distribution. Haven't seen this. And then remember in the explanation, we talk about the frequency in histogram. So how do we tabulate frequency distribution? Let's go to that point. Frequency distribution, we have seen histogram, and we have seen how we can use the frequency to draw our histogram on the horizontal axis or the x-axis. Now, what is frequency distribution? It refers to the arrangement of data or information in tabular form to reflect their frequency. Frequency refers to the number of times a particular event or information is usually used when data presented are large, and most of the numbers appear more than once. It appears in a tabular form in its own section. It indicates the frequency, the number of times a number appears. In a large number sequence, they might appear more than once, more than twice. They appear as many times as possible. How are we able to use this data to analyze things economically? I'm going to use an example to show you how frequency distribution is tabulated. That will explain the meaning of what frequency distribution is. Remember I said it is the arrangement of data or information in tabular form. That is one. Then it reflects the frequency at which a number appears. That's another thing. Then numbers can appear more than once. We're going to see how we're going to tabulate this in the example I'm going to give. That way it will help you to do questions that will come from frequency distribution. You saw how we solved the histogram. Now let's see an example on the frequency distribution. Let us use this example to explain what frequency distribution is. The question is, represent the marks scored by 30 business studies students in JS2 by frequency distribution using the following data. This is the data. These are what they scored. 28, 12, 4, 18, 18, 18. Just like that. But it will be 30. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. First thing, count your number if it's equal to the number of students or the scores you are giving. That is your first step. Now we've seen it is 30. How do we represent this in a frequency distribution? Let's go to the solvings. Now we go. First, remember in the explanation I gave, I told you it will be in a tabular form. This is the tabular form. And I told you too that it will have its own scores. So what are the scores? You go back here and see what are the scores. What is the smallest score that was scored? You trace, you look. What is the smallest score? You are still tracing. At the end of the day, you see that there is 2 and there is 4. So you start. My scores, the first score, which is the lowest, is 2. You write it down. The next is 4. Then you look again, you have 6, you have 8, you have 12, you have 18, and you have 20. So you saw the frequency at which they occur. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 18, and 20. You will write it out. So you will use your discretion. You will have to walk through the scores that you are giving, and then you will bring it out. After that, you will look at the frequency, the number of times these things occurred. We'll go to 2, and you start tracing. How many times did 2 occur? How many times did it occur? You will see you are tracing. You are tracing. You saw your first 2, and you mark it out. You come here, you put your first tally or count. You are still tracing. You see the second one, you mark it off, you put your second. So in the whole distribution, we saw just 2, 2. Then we go to 4. You look here, you saw another 4. You put 1 here. And that's you strike out your counting. You go down again, you saw another one. You strike out another second one. You go here again, you didn't see any 4. You go to the second one, you didn't see any 4. And here you saw 4. You mark it out and you see it. So we have 3 in this place. Now we come again. You are going to 6. You trace again, 6. You mark it out. Always use different symbols so that you don't get confused. And you come here, you put 1. You count out like you've counted 1. You try to trace 6 again, you didn't see any 6. You go to the next one, 8. And you come here, you have 8. You just have to mark it out like you have gotten 8, you put 1. You go to another line. Did you have another 8? You said yes, you put it like this, you mark it off. You put it like this, you mark it off. You come down again, you have another one, you mark it off. And so at the end of the day, you find out that how many 8 you have? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have 5, 8. If I were you, I can use pencil to write it and I can just start cleaning. And since it is 1, 2, 3, 4 that I've noticed, I'll come here for 8 and I'll mark out 4. Let's trace again. 1, 2, I mixed 1, 3, 4, and this is 5. So you mark out 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th one, you cross it out. That's the tally in here. You cross it out to show it's 5. And when you come to the frequency, you write out, I have 2 numbers in this point. Here I have 3. Here I have 1. Here I have 5. Because I mark out 4 and I strike out 1. Then we go to 12. 12 you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Look, you have 4. So you come here and mark 1, 2, 3, 4, and in your frequency you put 4. In your 18, you start counting. 18, I have another 18. I'll mark it up like this so that it looks differently. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have 8. What will I do? I will mark out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'll strike 5 out. Then 1, 2, 3. So here I'll write 8. In 20 we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you will come here and mark out 1, 2, 3, 4 and strike out, then your 1 and you have 6. This is how you represent your frequency distribution. Understand how we were able to use this example to solve this. You have your scores, your counting or your tally, then your frequency. what you have here is what you bring here. You can write this first before tallying here if you wish to, but always follow the procedure we have used. And so this will be it in our economics class. We've done histogram, we have done frequency distribution. In our next class, we're going to talk about mean, median, and the rest of the statistical data. Watch other videos on our charts. That's to say, economic tools used for economic analysis. Watch them and see different examples we have used, and see how you can lay your hands on past questions to do similar example. Thank you for being part of Class Online.